Hi guys, so today I wanted to get some footage out there for the DeWalt ToughSystem 2.0 3-drawer unit and cover things like the fit and finish, as well as comparing the ToughSystem 2.0 line to other units from DeWalt Tstak and Milwaukee Packout. So the first thing I wanted to cover is just the general fit and finish, right? So there are sort of rubber seals around, but I read the little paper, they give you a little paper leaflet inside these units, and I noticed that neither of the drawer units had IP ratings by them, which I thought was interesting, but it might also be important for you guys. Now, I think it will have some level of splash resistance, but I wouldn't expect this to be like submerged or anything and keep your tools dry stuff. But the reason that I was actually shipped one of these is because I used to have a DeWalt Tstak drawer unit. It was just a single drawer and it came out. But the thing is, when I had a couple of these boxes on it, it actually sagged to the point where when you pulled it out, it would just click. It would be like click, 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 click as it came out, and like kind of make like a grinding noise as well, and it was just icky. Like, it's gross. It's not supposed to do that. I mean, it's supposed to be a sturdy piece of plastic. But I contacted DeWalt about that, and I basically said, if that's unacceptable in their eyes, then I would consider getting more, because at the time I only had Tstak, and I actually thought that, you know, paying $35 for a single drawer was still a better deal than paying $150, $160 for a 2 or 3 drawer unit from Milwaukee, just because it's expensive. And I know they work. I know they're firm, like you can put your body weight on them and they won't feel like they're gonna fall apart. The DeWalt felt smooth, like the slides felt good, it just dragged. That was my only issue with it. So I contacted DeWalt, and they didn't say that they could replace it or fix it or anything. They said the best thing that they could do was send me that as a replacement. And I thought, okay, cool. So that's good, because that means I'm technically being upgraded, right? So I should be happy. But it also says that either they're not making the Tstak anymore, or they can't guarantee that it's not gonna sag just like mine did. And I am happy to say that it did completely fix my issue. So I can push my, like, this is me leaning down on it. I mean, I can flex it pretty good, and you will see like a little bit of flex, but it's not bad. Obviously it snaps shut. 2 of these drawers work perfectly. The third sometimes sticks a little, you can see. It's not terrible. It's just the latch. And then once you get it going a couple times, it'll firm up. And I can also sit on this. I've noticed that I can put my whole body weight, I weigh about 150 pounds on it. And the unit itself doesn't like sag or creak or anything, but when I sit on it, like with my when my weight is in the middle, these drawers, they'll do that like it's stuck, like it's almost like it's locked, but it's not. It's just it gets stuck when you put 150 pounds right in the middle. So while I'm not sure I could call them heavy duty, they don't sag. And I'm still gonna call that a win. For this would be a $130-ish unit, I believe. So I mean, if you're not planning on loading 200 pounds worth of tools on top of it, it might still be a better value than Milwaukee. And having tried both well, I haven't tried this in store, I own it, but having tried the Milwaukee Packout 3-drawer unit in store, I would say fit and finish is pretty comparable. And I'm also sure I could complain to DeWalt and they would send me a new drawer, but I mean, considering that I'm already going from a Tstak to this, I don't really want to bother with them. I'm happy enough. But I did want to bring up the other tool systems just because of the value proposition. So this, for instance, normally goes for about $120, right? This goes for about $150. Now, I'm going to bring Milwaukee into this next. Things like the dolly are way too expensive in my opinion, but they do last. Like that's $100 or so for the dolly, I believe, as well as probably another 70 for that. And I mean, I don't know. The rest of those are probably more than I'd like to think about. But the Tstak, on the other hand, is a lot cheaper. So I mean, the dolly is $50. These are about 30. These are just over 20 on Amazon. So I mean, if you're looking for something that can interface directly with like your ToughSystem tools, or ToughCase tools, then I mean, Tstak might actually be perfect for you, and it's fairly cheap. Because these clear lead organizers, for instance, do not cost much more than you would find, you know, a cobalt clear bin organizer type of toolbox, for instance. I mean, it's not significantly more, and it gets to interface with all the rest of your stuff. And to me, that matters a lot. So I like that I can be able to have all of that for not a ton of money. Now, the differences between this and Milwaukee, or other than the price, you can do a lot more with Packout. For instance, they have wall mounting systems, so you could theoretically like hang all of your boxes up like so. And another advantage with Milwaukee is they have a much better selection of like tool sets. Like you can get like hole saws, I believe. Obviously, I bought their socket set because I work on my car a decent amount. But you can also get like impact sockets. I think they even sell like their shockwave drill bits, which I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of, but I mean, it exists, and it's really nice that you can have like a whole ecosystem of tools that don't really, I mean, they're basically designed for your hard case. So you're not going to be going around, you know, with hand tools and such that are just flopping around in these because they're all lined up. Now, I did want to mention that with ToughCase, DeWalt does make tool tray inserts that are specially modified to work with their socket sets. So you can get like a 3 tray, well, you'd have to get 2 different sets, but you could get 3 trays. Oh, hello. And put them in this box, for instance, and then you could have your socket set in that. It's not as refined as that, but it does work as far as I can tell. I don't own it, but I've heard good things about it. The other difference between the Packout and this that I've noticed is just the build quality. So for instance, DeWalt actually warrantied out one of these because this broke. I don't think I did anything too serious. I think one thing that happened is either the bin got stuck a little and kept it from closing and it snapped, or I might have bent it too far back and it snapped. It just cracked right there. DeWalt sent me a new one. That's this one right here. That was the one that was replaced. But I mean, the fit and finish just isn't quite what it is over here in Milwaukee. One guy pointed out that I've seen on reviews that some of these boxes go 180 degrees, whereas these don't. And they are just barely over the 90-degree mark when they're fully open. And I thought that was a little bit neat, but it wasn't super comprehensive, because when you get over to these clear bin organizers, the non-half heights, you run into the same. I mean, that's not going to open all the way either. And I will mention that, and I'll link this guy if I can find him. He's right in saying that that's, well, I guess if you're more gentle with it, you can expect it to stay up. Whereas this, I mean, it's going to flop right back down unless you're very, very careful with it. So you basically do have to just keep a hand on it until it's up. But if you do that, you're fine. And honestly, between, you know, a $40 to $50 tray and a $30-ish tray, I think most people can put up with that. Plus, these are generally a little bit deeper, maybe even deeper than the bins in this. I'm not super sure, but I mean, looks a little deeper to me. But obviously the mounting points are different, so if you're going to use Milwaukee, you can get used to just having everything come up like that. I mean, it's not a big hassle, obviously, just have your finger in there. With the Tstak, it's just 2 clips, so one here and one here. And then all these have a front tray. I'm gonna lock this so I don't let all my stuff fall out. So you can just lift all of your stuff off like that. And then when you're ready, you can just set it down. Just clip like that. Clip like this. I will make a note for you guys. These are the revised Tstak clips. So you have like a metal pin going in there. If you can see, the first gen Tstaks did not have that. I believe it's the same type of clip as you'd find in a ToughSystem like 1 case, but I don't own any of those, so I don't know for sure. But I believe it's the same clip. And that makes me want to point out the very obvious difference that DeWalt wants you to pay attention to with their ToughSystem is their, I think they're like Easy Lock or something. But basically the idea is you can use one finger on this side and one finger on this side. And then there's these grab handles that come out. It's hard for me to film without setting my phone down, and I can't do that, but I'll just lift it for 1 second here. It just comes right off. And then obviously you have your case, and these will unlatch. Keep in mind that I'm being very controlled with all this, and I'm keeping my fingers on everything, and that's because these latches are super loud when you don't hold them. Like that would wake up the family for sure. So just keep in mind when you're closing this, it might be best to, you know, just keep a finger on the back side so that it's quiet. And it can be quiet, but I mean, if you're in a rush, I mean, that's just what you're gonna get. Obviously these have little grab handles, so you can extend your cart handle and be able to pull it along the sidewalk or whatever. They also have a little divider so that you can slot your slot toolboxes, or your DeWalt makes a little charging station. I think you can put like 10, 12 batteries in it or something, and then it'll just lock down into here. Now to put these back on, what you'll do is you'll just grab these handles again. Let me see if I can aim the camera at this. We'll just kind of slot it in there, and then do the same thing over here, maybe fight with it a little bit. It's not perfect. I've never really fallen in love with it like I have with Packout. You can see it's still not completely latched in. There we go. Had to fight with it a little. The other thing that I think both Tstak and Packout have over this system is just the amount of rotation on these boxes. Like that to me is a lot of rotation. Keep in mind that's 2 fingers. 2 fingers. With Tstak, when I hold like the bottom with my foot, I mean, you get some lateral. Actually, I should have clipped that down. But basically it doesn't move much, like at all. And then the DeWalt, or the Milwaukee Packout, moves back and forth, like you can see the boxes shuffling, but it doesn't like tilt like that. So that matters a lot when you start to build your kit up a lot, because you can have your whole system do that. That's what skyscrapers do, kind of just slight rotation. But these will, when you build them up, other reviewers will say that they'll do that just when you're rolling it around, and it's not super confidence inspiring. So I could see it working for like a stack of 3 units, but beyond that, it's really, you know, build at your own risk. And I'm just not super sure I'd want to have a whole system of this unless it was on a DS carrier or one of their mounting racks that they sell. One thing I was a little disappointed to see with the Tstak was that their tough case lineup basically requires you to get one of their more expensive boxes to be able to interface it with the rest of your kits. So I ended up buying one of these kits and selling off my old drill bits just so that I could have access to these extra boxes, and I'll probably add more little tough case kits as I end up needing them in the future. They sell like spade bit kits and a couple other things that you can just clip right onto the system. And it's not quite as easy to do that with the ToughSystem just because you have to buy an adapter plate first. I believe that's a $25 piece. So I'm finding it really hard to recommend this if you're wanting something versatile. It's very tough. I mean, like I said, DeWalt totally fixed my issue with the sagging drawers and everything, and I don't think I'll ever have that problem again with this unit. I think this unit in particular is a great value. But when you're just wanting something versatile that can like do everything, I mean, you can take this cart, which by the way, they don't sell little dollies for ToughSystem, or I'd have one of them. But I mean, you could just take this and move it around wherever. And obviously, you know, if you're a detailer, I'd probably recommend this little Milwaukee one, because you can, I don't know if you can see, like I have some of my detailing stuff in there, and you can just have all of that in the same cart, and you could probably load up like your, I'm trying to think of what you could have. If you're a mechanic, you could probably have like a stubby impact as well as some bits and stuff, and a two drawer unit, and you could probably have one of those little garage door units that come up and push in to store all of your like polishes and compounds and things like ceramic coatings, and just have all of it in one cart. That's probably, you know, 4 or 5 feet tall. So I could see how this would be like the best for, you know, small time mechanics, weekend warriors, basically anyone who has money, who cares a lot about the ergonomics. I think this would be the most suitable for them. For people who would like something cheap that works, that maybe aren't super attached to things like a tote or a drawer, I think these are a great value. And obviously I've bought a lot more of these recently than I have those. So, I mean, I'm not being a shill for DeWalt. I genuinely think this Tstak ecosystem has its place in the market. These, they're just a tough sell, no pun intended. Because these drawer units are great, but I'm really underwhelmed by the carts. I think these carts are some of the worst things, unless you are specifically a contractor with like a small amount of tools that you are willing to wheel in to the job site every day. Because a lot of the people I know that used to be in construction or still are, they'll bring in chests and chests of tools. Like there's no way that you're gonna fit all of that in, you know, even 5 bins, because there's just too much. Like you could probably have 3 like 50-gallon containers full of tools that they'll need to cart into their jobs every day, and you aren't going to take like 9 of these in. It's just not practical. But I mean, if you're just like a finish carpenter, you know, maybe an electrician, I can see how it might work. But I think DeWalt would be wise to make cart setups for all of these, just because, I mean, you know, if you have these in the garage and say you need to roll in like a big vehicle while it hails or something, I mean, you could take an entire wall of these and just move them like that and just get them out of the way, and it'd be so easy. I mean, you could, if you were in a single story house, you could get these from one side of the house to the other without even unclipping any of those. Just no problem. And, you know, like, the main advantage to the carts, I think, is you can grab one of those and just move it away from the wall. Whereas these, I mean, it's kind of awkward and clumsy. You know, you have to, like, really move it. I guess I have more weight in that than I thought. It's just a tough sell. I think if you're more involved and you have a DS system, or you're really invested in drawers but don't want to shell out for Milwaukee stuff, I think this would be great for you. And obviously, I think the quality is great. I'm not really complaining about that at all, if you've noticed. I just think the rest of the system doesn't really make that much sense. And I really wish DeWalt would keep adding accessories, or somehow make this more value-oriented, so that customers like me would decide that they want to, you know, shell out for a new ecosystem of containers, basically. But like with this, I don't know that I have a lot of motivation to go super far. I mean, I could see myself maybe getting another drawer unit with my own money, but I just can't see why people would go out and do that from scratch unless they really care about the drawers, and that's it. Because you could get a better ecosystem. You could even get something from Flex. I've seen some really good reviews from Flex. I still think it's like basically just an expensive Tstak clone, but I mean, think what you want. I would recommend this to the most people, or to most people, and then those for people who have money or who want a really organized garage, and, you know, money is no object, again. But I hope that gives you at least an idea of who I think all of these different product lines are for. DeWalt, I don't know if you're watching. Like I said, I think this itself is great. I want to see, because I mean, you can do so many things with Packout. I just want to see more being done with ToughSystem. I want to be able to mount that from a ceiling if I wanted. I want to be able to have it on a dolly. I want it to have weird things like, you know, first aid kits. I mean, you can get a first aid kit for that, but I mean, the most innovative thing I've seen besides this 3-drawer unit is that battery charger that I was talking about, and I feel like it's sad to say that that's the only thing. I mean, there's no cooler. They discontinued the radio. There's just not a ton going for it anymore, and I want to see that change. Tstak, I think Tstak is going great. I don't know what's up with their whole drawer situation, but if they get that sorted out, I would continue to recommend these to a lot of people just because they're so versatile. I mean, it's close. If they sold more kits for Tough Case, then I feel like it would be a harder sell to move to DeWalt or to Milwaukee, unless you specifically wanted wall-mounted tool organization systems where you could hang up your weed eater, your battery charger kit, you know, your crates, stuff like that. I mean, all that just works like basically out of the box with Milwaukee. Not to say that there isn't a 3D printing community for these, but that is hands down the most versatile system I've ever seen. This is close. This is pretty close. For the money, it's awesome. 3rd place. Solid 3rd place. Except the drawers. The drawers are great. But anyway, that kind of wraps up this video. I hope, you know, if you guys like it enough, I'll try to get some more B-roll of just that drawer setup in particular, because I know it's kind of a newer thing and I've only seen a couple of videos on it. So I figured I would kind of get a shot of everything and maybe get more footage of specifically that drawer setup later. Maybe show you guys things you can, or ways you can organize your tools with that and whatnot. But that wraps up this video for today, so I'll see you guys later. Bye.